the next couple of slides, what we're going to do is focus on how do we move document content. And the reason that we're focusing specifically on this one is document content is something that we can quantify very easily and very quickly using the analysis report and the tool that we have. So the tool that we have is called SAP Doc Migrate, focuses specifically on document content. And this is something that we can do with almost no planning. And so what I mean by that is we can identify document content, we can move it, migrate it over to the Rocket SAP archive, but still leave in place the exact same attachment list that the users are already used to. So what that means is no user change management at all. So if there's a document that's named purchase order for Target, then once we migrate that content, the attachment list in SAP is still going to say purchase order for Target. So no change at all. It's just what we're doing is changing where that document is stored. So what is it? So SAP Doc Migrate, it is a software and a service. It's something that we use during our projects. It's leveraging the SAP resources. So it means that it's an ABAP program that we're deploying it straight into Basis, and we're following the standard SAP transports. The registration report. So within that bundle, there's a few different things. There's the report that allows us to quantify data, the series of migration tools that allows us to move the data. And then there's also the delete mechanisms. And as Jim mentioned earlier, the main thing that we're trying to do here is improve performance, reduce backups, ensure that we're being as streamlined as possible from a cost perspective when we're talking about the money that we're going to spend in S/4HANA. And the number that I'm talking about here between 10 and 30%, this is different than the number that Jim's talking about. This is really just kind of right off the bat. This is very low hanging fruit that we can, again, focusing just on that document content, typically migrate it out. Most of these projects are less than 90 days. So really, really straightforward in terms of when we're just focusing on the doc content, get it out, automatically save money and automatically start improving the performance of the SAP environment and also reducing, the costs associated and the time associated with migrations and backups and recoveries and so on. So as I mentioned earlier, it's one basis tool, but really there's three things that are happening inside of it. The analysis tool, this is the piece that I was talking about in the opening that we're happy to work with you on, and we're happy to do this as a non-billable exercise with you. And the reason that we want to do this is in many instances, we can prove an ROI without even focusing on the full governance associated with achieving full or developing and deploying a full archive strategy. As Jim mentioned earlier, it's a full project in itself. It takes time to think through how you're going to move this content. It's sequential in the way that we need to do it. And all of that is definitely important. It needs to be done. And it's part of what I would call kind of the phase two, meaning first, let's get the document content out and immediately start recognizing the benefits associated with that. And in tandem, we would start working with you on what is the archive strategy that makes the most sense for you and analyzing that data to understand what are the volumes that we can archive out from a transactional and report list and so on perspective. So first piece, analysis tool, like I said, that's an SAP transport. So we're happy to work with you, deploy that, and quantify the data, and then work with you based on your cost basis from SAP to determine how quickly can we achieve an ROI. Most of the time, it would be in the first year, meaning the services as well as the software. In most instances, we would be able to achieve a ROI just by simply moving documents, and then we can get on to the second part or the part that we would be doing in tandem. And then the migration tool itself, this is the thing that, registers what is the content. That way we can analyze it and decide how we're going to move it. So we don't take a big bang approach where we say, okay, there's, 10 million objects, bang, let's move them over. Instead, we would look at, where we're going to get the biggest bang for the buck. The other thing is this is a basis tool, so we don't want to clobber the SAP performance. So what we would do is break it up into chunks, typically run it based on an analysis of when is the least likely time to impact performance, et cetera. And then the third piece of that is once we've confirmed and audited that the content has been moved to migrated to the SAP Mobius environment, then we would leverage the cleanup tool to go delete that original link. And the beauty of this is, as I said before, there's no change management from a user's perspective. What they saw in the attachment list before the migration is the same thing that they're going to see in the attachment list after the migration.